Welcome to France for the French Grand Prix here, back with round number 5 of our 1955 championship in Grand Prix Legends at the fast Reims circuit, just outside of Reims, France. Happy to be back here after 2 great rounds in Spa with the win, and Zandvoort with a great second place, passing a lot of cars. I think Reims will be pretty exciting, at least on the start line. We'll get more into that in a second. But here for our 5th round, this being one of those rounds that was canceled in the real 1955 F1 season because of the Le Mans tragedy. So we're kind of skirting around reality, but we're already doing that with the drivers we're racing against. We're going to have the full grid here today with Ascari and Fangio and Moss and Gonzalez and everybody that we've been racing against so far to recreate, or I guess create, this 1955 race. The Reims circuit being a very famous circuit from the early days of Grand Prix racing. Through the 1950s was a routine part of the calendar for most years, notably obviously this year being missing, and was raced here and there up until 1966. That was the last F1 race at this track. The track being raced shortly after with some lesser formulas and other cars, I think until the early 70s, and then being retired for good. It is a race on public roads, and actually today you can drive down the highway that the main straight is on that we're looking at here and still see, I think, parts of the grandstand and the whole pit complex and everything. Actually looks very similar to what it does in the sim here. This being one of those beautiful tracks that's been textured by Thomas Leckel, the same guy that did the Spa texturing that we did a couple races ago. So it really brings it to life. So, really excited for this race. I'll bring up the schedule and the points here. Looking at the schedule, we're just about halfway through the season. And the yellow races and the red ones, those are the races that weren't actually run in 1955, but were originally on the schedule, which is why we're running them here. The Spanish Grand Prix at the end being the one that we don't have the track just yet in Grand Prix Legends, so we'll have to see what happens when we get there. On the right side here, we have the points. I'm sitting in second place, but 10 points back on our leader, Fangio. Just really going to be a very tough to beat in the Mercedes. Also, Fangio, of course, being one of the greats in F1 history. Have to remember that only 5 races are going to count. Your best 5 races, each driver's best 5 for the championship. So if we look at Fangio, he's got 2 wins so far and has finished high in the points in the rest of the races. I've got 1 win, and I also have a race that I haven't scored points in. So not quite as strong so far, but we still have 6 races to go, including the one here. So after this race, we'll be halfway, and we'll start discounting races that didn't or had the least points. So I guess my second round at Monaco, although we fought so hard, that'll be the one that so far gets knocked off, assuming we score here today, which I have high hopes for. So why don't we take a look at the track? So this track, when you look at it, is very simple looking. It's really just a triangle here with the front straightaway being one of the straights coming into the actual complex, I guess you'd say, part of the circuit, although still fairly easy, just a series of corners. This track is pretty easy in the 66 cars, or I guess the 60s Grand Prix cars. It's a lot harder in these heavy cars, and we'll see that and talk about it throughout the race. But a lot of weight to be moving around these really fast corners. This track is in 5th and 4th gear, pretty much the whole thing, 4th and 5th, except for the 2 hairpins. You have the Moisson and the Tillot, or Tillois. Excuse my French, those 2 hairpins, really both like a La Source hairpin along the super long back straightaway that also has a massive hill down it, and we'll see that in just a second. But it's going to be some crazy slipstreaming and likely not going to be able to get away from any of the other drivers during the race. We're going to be doing 19 laps around the circuit. I think the real race was set to be 60, or at least that's what they ran in most races at Reims back then. So we're doing about a third the distance. But it's a 5-mile circuit, only 6 turns though, but it's so fast. The laps are just over 2 minutes, so it will take just about as long as the other Grand Prix. If we look at our starting grid, classic starting grid, we have Ascari on the pole, Carmen Kling in second, and Juan Manuel Fangio starting third in that front row. Sterling Moss, his teammate, and Jose Gonzalez in that blue Ferrari starting the second row. And here I am, Richard Axelson in the third row alongside Berra and Castellati, I believe in the Maserati. there with Barra. So should be a pretty good start. I like that I'm starting on the outside. I think that's going to work out pretty well here coming around the first bend. We'll take a quick peek at the car setup, although not much of note. Car setup essentially the same as it would have been back in the day. They weren't changing things like they do now. A little more fuel, I believe, 10-to-1 steering ratio. If we look at the drivetrain, obviously the gearing is set to be pretty fast. I think even faster than Spa. And then our ramp angles were the thing I actually played around with quite a bit. We'll notice throughout the Grand Prix, and I'll actually show on the circuit, but these medium speed, I guess I'll call them, although they're pretty fast. Those corners need that throttle a lot to help turn the car, which means you want a very aggressive ramp angle. But coming out of these hairpins, the car likes to get very loose and spin, basically do a tail slide coming out. So it's kind of a compromise. I've shot a little more for it being some throttle steering, so we'll have a little bit of an interesting time getting out of the hairpins. But there is a little space to run off in the hairpins if we do brake late or something. I will say that the brakes themselves aren't going to be too much of an issue, I don't think, in this one, because the straights are so long, they'll cool down the brakes fine. So it's going to be an interesting race. I don't know if it's going to be the most exciting race. It is a very, very fast, straight track, so we'll have to see how it goes. But I think that's enough talking. So why don't we get started with the 1955 French Grand Prix. All right, on the grid here, back 3 rows. Flag is up. Down, we're underway here. Oh, getting a pretty good start off the line. Up through the second row. And alongside Moss. Still have Gonzalez working our inside as we'll barrel over this hill into the first corner. Try to give Gonzalez enough room here. Up into the 5th gear. Making a very good start there, jumping up a couple rows. I think settled behind Kling as we'll work towards one of our braking corners. And on this opening lap, gonna have to take it very easy down into 4th. Got cold tires, got a lot of fuel. But working our way next to Kling. Right on the white line here. And he's sticking up the inside, making it tough for me here. So we'll work towards the first of the hairpins and able to get around Kling, although he's going to work back up our outside all the way down to 1st gear. We'll hold it close to the white line, right on that white line on the inside, and then try to get a good run out for the long back straightaway. And Ascari Fangio streaking ahead. Got Gonzalez right behind me, up through 4th gear now. We'll go under this Dunlop bridge. Go right through a fast kink here. As Gonzalez looks towards the inside, but this is not going to be a place to pass. And now work our way down the long hill. Picking up a lot of speed, really going about, I think, full speed for this car. This is a track where you can definitely go full speed. We'll have to spot our braking here right at about the 250 mark. Right there, down through 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. Try to hug that apex, missing it a little bit. Car oversteering. Able to get on the throttle though. And we'll come down the front straightaway again to complete our first lap. So a really, really good start there, getting up into 3rd place. But a long Grand Prix in front of us. The thing I don't like about this circuit is these long straightaways that just give you time to think about your moves. So we'll jump over this little hump here, set up for the first corner. Should be flat later in the Grand Prix once the fuel burns off a bit. Right now giving it a little lift on the entry, but then hard back on the throttle. Maybe Gonzalez behind me going flat as he closes up. Looks to my inside. Slice his nose there, so we head up this hill. The hill helps break the car a little bit, but so easy to fly off the edge of the circuit there. as is with this next corner, camber being against us. I think a negative camber corner. As we're making up good time here on Ascari in front of us. Break down into first gear. Sticking up the inside. Oh, wheels on the grass a little bit. Now work our way down this back straightaway again. So such an easy circuit in learning, where the corners are obviously, only 6 of them, but really is imperative to get that braking, shifting correct. So go up until 5th now. I want to shift up a little earlier. It sounded like Gonzalez might have done that behind me. Might be that Fangio and Ascari have a little more speed than me on these straights, which is not good. I need to get a little closer to get that draft well. We'll concentrate on our braking here now. Hard on the brakes. Whoa, and Gonzalez getting really close behind me. Oh, and just touching the grass on the exit, really pushing the limit. Coming to complete another lap. The circuit actually reminded me a lot of the Le Mans circuit. Similar type idea, just stringing the public roads between a few towns. The former having a little more going on in parts of the circuit though. Missed my line pretty far in that corner. The car is just so heavy with fuel right now. Braking up the hill here, over the ridge, but making pretty good time that time by. I feel as though I'm a little closer this time to Ascari and Fangio. I have to just very easily guide it through these corners, as now we're right on them. Try to do my braking well enough here to line me up to get a good draft down the back stretch. Spinning the wheels a little bit as we come out of the hairpin. Not exactly what I wanted. And I maybe need to shift a little bit earlier. Losing some of the pull once I get over 7,500 RPM. Probably not good for the engine either. It isn't a full Grand Prix, but it's long enough where I do need to take it easy. Ascari looking towards the inside of Fangio there. That's going to help me. They're punching a huge hole in the air. Maxed out speed now. Braking a little earlier than I normally would have. Oh, and all 3 of us missing that hairpin. But now comfortably in their draft, I was able to close up enough to stay with them. I have a feeling it's going to be very hard if I do pass them to get away. This is one of those Grand Prix where I'm not sure passing is going to help too much, although getting a great run here on Ascari as we work into the first corner. Have to baby the throttle a bit into here. Make sure we don't slide out. Ascari right on my left rear, holding it in close, jumping right behind to pick up my draft. But making the pass there. Getting it down into 4th gear. Oh, way too fast into this corner. Able to make it though. Very easy to fly wide. The track really has no camber. That helps. No banking. Very flat corners, and turns like this are very much negative. I can can see Fangio now right on him here. So we'll try to follow his line in. Sling it out wide. Get on that gas. Oh, a lot of oversteer. A lot of oversteer there coming out of the hairpin. Through our kink, just watching my mirrors for Ascari behind me. But picking up this draft nicely now on Fangio. Ascari looking to my inside. I'm gonna catch Fangio here right as we get to the braking zone. Jump to the inside. Brake a little earlier than normal. Down all the way to first gear. Oh, running a little bit wide. But getting out ahead. Making a nice pass into the final corner there for the lead of the Grand Prix. Streaking towards the finish line, but I can see Ascari in my mirrors. Thinking better of it, getting behind me for the first corner here, looking to the inside again though. Still giving it a little throttle, oh, hitting the dirt a little bit there. Car running a little wide now. Work here right after the 100 board. Shifting down into fourth, a little bit of brake, let it coast a bit. Try to get back on the throttle to help it turn. Now we'll work towards the first hairpin. Oh, and car running a bit wide, right up against the white line. Oh, getting a little loose on the dirt there. Not a good line. Oh, I'm braking very late. Into the grass a little bit. Ascari. Fangio getting by. Trying to get back on it though. Slip right in behind them. Blowing my lead there. Not good. Had a couple bad corners. It's just so easy for the car to get ahead of you. This really is a pack race. I don't know if there's any way to get away from anybody. Get a nice draft here on Moss as we come down the hill. Over the rolling hills of France. We're in a little pack here. Spot my braking mark. Oh, and Moss is threading the needle. Fangio, rather, threading the needle there in front of Ascari. Gonzalez trying to get in the mix too. Dicing it up front. We'll look at my pit board here, obviously, from a lap earlier. Up into fifth gear, though. I think my pit board is down near the actual pits. There we go. So I was P1 last lap with 14 to go this lap. Oh, and Ascari was looking up the inside, slowed down a little bit, able to jump on the inside of him then into the first corner. Fangio now. Just give it a nice enough brake up this hill. Not going to be anywhere to pass Fangio in this corner. Sliding out a little wider than I would have liked there. Try to get a good run again out of this final corner here, second to last corner, final corner for the straight. Oh, I'm definitely not getting a good run. You might notice the choppy RPM gauge. It's a new mod actually that's been added to Grand Prix Legends. Simulates the type of gauges they actually had back in the 60s, 50s, and 60s. And is actually accurate to have the gauge only update every few seconds or every half second or so. Go watch some videos if you think it looks odd. That's really actually how it was. Those fluid gauges that we're used to today didn't really come about until the 70s. So we're closing in on Fangio, but don't think I'm going to have it this time. Ascari looking towards my inside though, kind of boxed in. I'm running a little wide there. Oh, and it looks like Gonzalez inside of Ascari too. And in a full race, I don't know if you even then would get away from the other drivers. Always racing in a pack. Closing in on Fangio, but once again won't be able to overtake him into this first corner here. Still lifting a bit, just gotta get that car line right. I think traveling quite a bit quicker when we're in the draft. It looks like Gonzalez did get Ascari behind me. So I think we have the 5 of us up here that are all fighting for the championship, all dueling in the French Grand Prix. Making good time over the hill there. What I really have to do is line Fangio up well on the back straightaway. Getting an okay exit that time. Just the way I have the transmission set up, it's really easy to spin the car out if you apply the throttle too early, but it's so necessary for those medium speed corners. I see Gonzalez in my same car as me, this other Ferrari, the blue Ferrari, closing in behind, looking towards the inside. I'm getting a good pull here on Fangio. Not going to be quite enough again. Try to get a good exit down the front straightaway here. Oh, and tapping Fangio. Wheel-to-wheel contact there. Obviously not what I want. Not what he wants. So far this 55 season has been full contact. I know hitting a few cars at Buenos Aires, Monaco. I think we made it through Spa without hitting anybody. But he won't have liked that, obviously. Closing in again for the first turn. Not going to be able to catch him there. Car feels all right though, luckily. With close racing quarters like this, it's very easy to make contact. Jump up the hill here, down into fourth. Carrying a lot more speed than the Mercedes, running a bit wide though. Right up on Fangio now. Try not to bump him as we go in or out of this corner. A lot of oversteer there. Could really feel the weight of this car swing around. Through the fast kink here. Feels like we're holding station pretty well now, but don't know where we'd be able to pass Fangio here. Still have quite a few laps left in the Grand Prix. We're getting a good run this time. Could go for it up until the final hairpin. Into the braking zone we're going to come. Braking a little later than Fangio. Getting it down to second and first. He letting me go this time. He doesn't like that tap last time around. Making a clean pass there for the lead. We'll come through and lead another lap of the Grand Prix. But Fangio closing up. Maybe not wanting me to lead a lap, looking to my inside. But thinking better of it. So now we'll work into the first turn, leading the pack this time. Try to do it flat here. Getting in the car right up to the inside. Making it flat through the first turn for the first lap of the race. We'll go up the hill, down into fourth gear. Let the car roll to the apex, then use that throttle to help us steer off. Drifting again. So we'll approach this first hairpin. Down from fourth to first. Drifting way wide. On Fangio, I think getting up my inside, making the pass, taking advantage of my poor hairpin there. And his car definitely turns better than mine, but I think I have the high speed on him. Like we did at Spa, I think the car is a little quicker in a straight line and definitely behind the draft. So we caught the draft early this time, being so close. Head down the hill side by side, already almost past him. So work towards the braking here. So nerve-wracking being side by side. Trying to make sure we're slow enough to not run wide, but able to make it work. Got that inside line, the quicker line. And this track is easy, but it definitely feels more like a NASCAR race than an F1 Grand Prix in the 50s. Having to think about the other drivers more than driving the car. We'll take a look at our pit board here. 10 laps to go, P1, Fangio right behind me. Over the bump here, we'll jump into the first corner. Breathing it just a little bit. Didn't feel like I was going to hit that apex. Right to the outside, just touching the white line. Right past the 100 sign, drop it into fourth. Throttle there really helping turn. That's where I need that throttle to help me. And these two turns definitely hurts me in the hairpins a bit, but without it, I don't think I'd be able to turn as well. Down from fourth, third, first. Running a little wide again. So hard. I feel like that hairpin just sneaks up on you. So we have Fangio right on us. Down the fast straightaway here. my inside. I don't know if he'll back out of it for the kink. Doesn't look like it. We'll sit back behind Fangio now. I think Ascari is now behind me. So we've got the draft back. Trading positions here through France. The fight for the championship is real. Down through first. Nipping that grass to help pull us around the corner. Able to make it on Fangio again. Staying ahead, but just a little bit. It'd be so easy to miss my braking there. I've already done it once. Fangio's now up the inside of me on the front stretch. Oh, and if this was the run to the finish, that would be so gutting. So we'll try to get the draft back. As we head towards the first corner. Oh, I'm definitely scary to go through there too wide. I'll give it up to Fangio. The fans probably loving that as we whiz past. It would be something to see a 50s F1 car go by at top speed. Able to get past Fangio here though. Did not see that coming. Interesting corner to pass. Looks like he might have run a little wide. Making it nicely, making up for those past couple laps, but Fangio right on my tail. He definitely gets through the hairpins a little bit quicker than I do. We're going to do the same thing as last lap. Side by side through the kink. Very frightening. Ah, and I didn't put it into fifth gear. Fangio cutting me off though. Making a mistake that time, riding in fourth at the top of the rev range. All slowing down these heavy cars. Gonzalez and Ascari behind me, right on my tail, changing positions. Just really isn't possible to lose the pack here. Will be interesting to see if and when we catch some of the lap traffic. So if we catch them on the straightaways, it should be relatively easy to breeze past, as I'm about to do the same to Fangio here. It really is almost like a chess game. Throw it into fourth as we'll head up the hill now. Really loving that grass on the inside. Definitely not something you would be able to do in real life. Get a tire puncture or something. Try not to blow this hairpin here. It always catches me off guard. All the rest of the corners you're shifting down from fifth, but that one you're doing fourth. Takes that extra second to remember. Of course, using the H pattern shifter and clutch and everything. Really not heel and towing much though. I think I have the differential set correctly. I'm going to take the racing line through the kink here. Fangio slots in behind. He's now going to look to my inside, and there's really no sense in defending wildly. It's not the last lap of the race. If he blows past me, I'll get him back on the next lap. It's just kind of how this one works, but it looks like he's backed off a little bit. He's got some guys looking on him. And I say that, but here he comes, late on the straightaway. As we head towards the braking, might dive to my inside. Wheel to wheel. Fangio, side by side, but able to take it as he wants to lead this lap. Pulling up on him though. Not able to get him before the line. I'll have to be in the lead through that final corner to win. Two by two in the first corner, but able to get past him. This really is hopefully entertaining to watch. It is nerve-wracking as hell to race. Down into fourth gear, up the hill. Car feeling really good now, having burnt a little of that fuel off, with tires maybe getting a little warmer. Brake it hard for our favorite hairpin here. There is that extra runoff area though, which is nice. If you're clearly not going to make it, you can go straight and take the next turn, but would lose a ton of time if I had to do that. And Fangio just kills me on initial acceleration, but I'm able to get him in top speed. It's very interesting to see the differences in the cars here. Letting it breathe just for a second as we go through the kink. Work up his inside. And Fangio pulling back on me. So we'll break into the last corner. Almost hitting him again that time. Didn't jump on the gas quite as quickly. We'll take a look at our pit board here. Must be getting pretty far into this one. We'll see it here. P2, 6 laps to go. 6 laps to go. Not too much time. The Grand Prix goes by pretty quick. Thinking about jumping up the inside there, but better not. Looks like Gonzalez is trying the wide line around me. Definitely not going to work. I'm just going to make sure not to lose this draft. I feel like Fangio could potentially just run away at some point. He's been known to go very fast. We might not catch any lapped cars in this one. The track just might be a little too big for that. But we'll see here. Suck right up behind Fangio. A little bit of wheel spin coming out there. I do have to say, I mentioned the textures in this track were done by the same guy, Thomas Leckel, that did the Spa track, but it really just brings these circuits to life. I know there's a couple other tracks out there that he's done. Silverstone, Brands Hatch. as well, I know, have been done by him. I just wish every circuit looked as good as these do. So closing in on Fangio, but might not be able to get him as we get into the braking zone here. We'll take a look. Still have a few laps to figure this out. Doesn't look like it could happen like that. Would have to brake very deep. And I think we're in a 4-car pack here. Gonzalez, Ascari, Fangio, and Richard Axelson dueling for the lead at the French Grand Prix. Although it's mostly been myself and Fangio getting the lead, and he's pulled out a little further than I'm comfortable with here. I pull in so far, but it's just not enough space to try something like that around here. Try it up the inside, up the hill. Oh, very uncomfortable, but able to do it. He backed out for me. It's not a great place to pass. I'd be mad about that one. Mad about me hitting him, mad about where I'm passing. But we're fighting for the championship. You gotta do everything you can. Getting a lot of speed into the hairpin, car getting very loose, and Fangio looking up my inside. He's just always right there, relentless. So work through the kink here. Something new here, ride behind him a bit. So if I get in front of him now, if I get in front of him a little earlier, he's able to take me back. No, but it looks like I don't have enough speed if I'm not getting that big pull. The brakes are in the red, but able to stop me enough. Definitely using that engine quite a bit here. Fangio seems to have me covered pretty well now. I was able to get by him for a moment on that lap, but I have to get a good exit in that first hairpin. Four laps to go, still P2. I feel like I have to win this Grand Prix. Anytime I have a fighting chance to win it, there's going to be Grand Prix. The Nürburgring, there's no way I'll be able to keep up with their Mercedes. Bremgarten, same idea. I have to win these fast tracks. Breaking into fourth there. Very easy to overcook it in this corner. Two side by side with Fangio. He slots in behind. So we'll head into this left-hander now. Down at a first, trying to keep it nice and tidy here. And sliding a little wide on the exit, but able to get on the gas. Maybe a little better than the past couple of laps. But he's right on my tail. I don't see how he won't be able to pass. Go through the kink here. Fangio closing in. driving in and out, almost watching my mirrors more than the road ahead of me. Braking a little later there than normal, but able to get it slowed down somehow. And got a nice little lead here now. This is great. As we're coming to this 3 to go. But I know they're still close enough behind me. My Ferrari punching a huge hole in the air for them. Fangio lurking behind. Easily able to take this flat now when I'm in the lead. Sliding up the hill. I'm going to make sure he's not jumping inside of me or anything before I take a corner. It's that extra second to look in your mirrors. Can definitely throw you off. And it's because the road kind of drops away from you there. So easy to let the car slide wide. Almost need to go wider on the start of the corner, and there goes Fangio up my inside. Oh, but not able to get it done here before the kink. And haven't missed a single gear shift yet in this one. See if we can keep it that way for the final couple of laps. I might be seeing a twinkle of a lapped car in front. Could play into this finish. Not be good. Fangio taking a look to my inside. So work towards just past the 300 banner. Fangio. There he is. Just skating through the dirt. Lots of oversteer on the exit. Side by side again. There he goes. He goes for the lead. Just a couple laps remaining. Cuts off in front of me. Up into 5th gear now. So we're closing in. Side by side across that line. Wouldn't be able to do that on the final lap. Into the first corner, side by side though. He gives me the position. Hump here. Down into 4th gear. Make sure you brake enough. Be so easy to throw it all away now. Missing that apex a bit, but the car having enough grip now to actually get around the corner. Down into 1st gear. It's almost like the car is afraid of that apex. I'll have to check back, but I'm not sure if I've hit that apex any of these laps. Fangio looks a little bit to the inside. Not through. The kink he won't. And able to get a little out in front here as we're going to come to, I think, get the last lap here. No white flag in European racing to tell us that it's the last lap, unfortunately. Moss looks towards the inside a little bit. Fangio, rather, not Moss. Getting my silver Mercedes mixed up. Moss is almost nowhere in this Grand Prix. Haven't seen him since the very start. Making our way out of the final corner. If this could just be the last lap, I have the good lead here. So take a look at our pit board just to confirm, but fairly certain it is the last lap. Fangio gonna make a charge for it here. One more lap to go. The French Grand Prix. Fangio looking at my inside, thinks better of it. Turn the car into the first corner. No problem going flat here. Make sure we throw it into fourth. Nice and smooth up the hill. Talking myself through the lap just as much as explaining it to everybody watching. Keep it in fourth here. As we miss the apex a bit, but get on the throttle to help the car steer. We're just gonna make sure we get a nice braking and a good exit out of this hairpin. A little long on the braking, swinging it out wide a bit. Getting a decent exit, as now we'll work down this fast straightaway. Moss looking to my inside. Fangio looking to my inside. One of the silver cars, that's all that matters. So I'm gonna take the inside line this time. Want anybody running down my inside here in the final corner, final lap of the French Grand Prix. Mercedes streaking up alongside of me here, just to my left rear. We'll brake hard. Able to get out of the final corner in the lead, but will we be able to hold it to the line? Fangio looking to the inside. Blocking is on the table now, as we're gonna come to the line here, get it up into fifth gear. I can see the checkered flag now, so we cross the line to win the French Grand Prix. Raising our hand for the fans. The other cars streaming past. My God. Now that track is not the hardest track in Grand Prix Legends. I would argue it's one of the easiest. You gotta learn how to brake hard and take the hairpins. But after you got that, especially in the 60s cars, these corners up here that are a little challenging in the 50s cars, pretty easy in the 60s cars, but my God, is it tough racing the other drivers that closely. I don't talk about it a lot because I like to keep the immersion going while we're racing, but it is difficult sometimes to race the Grand Prix Legends AI. They do sometimes make wild moves, as we saw during the Buenos Aires Grand Prix, making contact with the lap driver. Saw it a bunch at Monaco, or they're swerving around. I feel like I see it more in these 50s cars than the 60s. Maybe that's just because I'm racing them more lately, but that was a demonstration of how it can be really a lot of fun to race in Grand Prix Legends. And winning the French Grand Prix, that's really going to help with this championship battle. It's going to be 2 for 2 on the wins now with Fangio, although he did get a second place, so he's still going to be healthily in the lead. But now have 2 wins to my name, cementing us higher up in the standings. We'll wave at the flag man here. This track, definitely not one of my favorites, but does put on a good race and is beautiful as far as Grand Prix Legends tracks go. This one, especially with these textures specifically, looks awesome. I know I've driven it before this texture set came out. Not quite as pretty, but it looks like right here we're just driving into the French countryside to a villa somewhere. It's beautiful. And we really did have a large lead on, I think it was just the 4 or 5 of us up front. We had a large lead on whoever was behind us because I don't see them at all. Shift it down here. And we'll wave at our fans that watched us duke it out. This would be the awesome place to sit. You can hear them cheering. That would be the great place to sit at this Grand Prix for sure. Watch the cars duke it out lap after lap, passing each other. So we'll come down, we'll run into the pit lane here, park the car, take a look at the final results for this one. It was planning that strategy. I took some aggressive lines on the last lap, but I think anybody would do that coming to the checkered flag. It was keeping it up there that whole race. So we'll come in here and pit our car down at our pit board. Oh, I'm grinding a gear. Guess I didn't do it all race, so we'll do it as we pull into our pits. Get out of the car here to take a look at the final results. So official standings, Richard Axelson with the win. 126.9 mile an hour average, pretty high. Juan Manuel Fangio right behind, just 0.18 of a second. Alberto Ascari, half second back. Jose Gonzalez and Carmen Kling. So that was our top 5. Those were the 5 guys. I didn't see Kling too much during the race. He would have been in the streamlined Mercedes. But then we look behind more. Berra finishing in 6th, 38, almost 39 seconds behind us. So we had a healthy lead on the second group. Castellati and our friend Nino Farina behind him there. Keep going down the grid. So it looks like we were the laps being about 2 minutes 20 seconds. We were about 20 seconds away from catching the end of the pack here. Looks like Sterling Moss, though, with an engine failure, down in last place, so won't be scoring any points. So taking a look at the points now, having won that race, Juan Manuel Fangio still in the lead, 33, but I close it up to 25 points back now, or just 25 points, so just a few points back now. But you'll see, got 8 points for that win because Carmen Kling got the fastest lap, unfortunately, so he gets the extra point. You get 8 points for a win, but 1 point for a fastest lap in this championship. So not capitalizing as much as we could have, but still, I think, obviously a good result. But Ascari now cementing second or third place behind myself with Jose Gonzalez. Sterling Moss still in 5th, although the DNF, no points scored in this race. Carmen Kling rounding out the point scoring finishers. So still just the 6 of us that have scored any points, but anybody else, I guess, can jump in at any point in this Grand Prix. So looking forward, we have the British Grand Prix next at Aintree. That was one that was run this season for real, and so we'll take that one up next. But I appreciate everybody joining me, putting up with the wait, and I'll see you all again next time.